Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing 1824 and we're in phase 5 and I honestly have not a lot of ideas who is really in the lead right now, who is doing very good. It's hard to say. Maybe this guy, he owns these high value Südbahn shares, so I guess he's not doing badly, and but as I said, it's hard for me to judge it right now. But maybe it's this guy. Yeah, it probably might be him. And well, most of the companies are operating now. The only one that isn't is the KK. They will form when the first 6 train is purchased. So now we go into a stock round, and well, actually it's not quite true. The Siebenbürgische has converted, but it's not operating yet, and the same can be said about the Böhmische Commerzbahn. So these two have to be floated first, but I'm pretty sure the owners, yeah, they definitely have the capital to do this. And there's also now the Hungarian available that started at the last operating round. Definitely also interesting. There's a lot of capital here. 2 good tokens. So yeah, players will buy some stuff, I guess. So this guy has probably the hardest question to answer, and that is, does he want to hold on to the shares of the BH, the Bosnisch-Herzegowinische? It has, until now, by far the best run. They run 3 trains and they have great routes. But they have the 2-3 trains, and eventually this will collapse. And there is not that much money in here, about 200 bucks. So yeah, there's definitely a risk holding on to these 4 shares. This guy could simply dump them. So yeah, that is a tough question. The company makes a ton of money, but when will the 6s come out? I mean, there is 1 5 left, and then the next one is a 6, and the company is sitting here. So it operates, for example, after the Hungarian. That could be a problem. It operates after the CL. And the 6 is the first permanent train. So players might be willing to get that one fast. It's possible that the Hungarian decides to buy a 5 and a 6 immediately, for example. If they have the money, they need 1,000 bucks. Do they have that? Yeah, they do have that. They could buy a 5 and a 6. And he can kind of control that, right? He is the owner of the Hungarian. And then this one basically immediately collapses, and they don't have a single run left. At least not of that magnitude. So honestly, yeah, I think I'm going to sell these 3 shares, these 4 shares. Everything else does probably not make a lot of sense. I might instead invest in the Hungarian, or maybe in the Südbahn, which also looks really promising. Here's an interesting point though. The moment the 3s rust, that means that this company here will form. And that means that a lot of money goes into this company, which might also make it possible to feed this one. Interesting. You know, this is an incredibly complicated situation at the moment. It's such a tough decision process. And if I would play that with other players, it would drive me crazy to make these decisions within 2 minutes or so. I could think, I don't know, an hour about this. This is so crazy because, there's so much going on now with the start of the next set of ORs, and it's so hard to determine what will actually happen and what are the best options here. So, for example, this guy, he's still thinking about keeping these shares or not because they are making so much money. And they could even come to some kind of collaboration or something, and he could hold back. For example, let's say if this guy dumps the company on him, speculating it will collapse when the 3 trains go away, then he could slow down. He does not have to buy necessarily additional trains with the Hungarian, and maybe wait a little bit and hope that this company will get another run. What will happen when the Siebenbürgische and the Böhmische start? What trains will they purchase? What is my goal? I'm thinking about, there are so many options. For example, for the Hungarian, I'm thinking about, I want a G train because I can run this amazing route here. I want a token in Vienna too, because yeah, why not? And I have a lot of tokens. So the tokens cost me $100. I would love to get a permanent train, at least a standard permanent train and a G permanent train. But right now I cannot get them. I could, for example, buy a 3G for 360. Maybe I can upgrade this to a 4G, which would be a permanent. I could upgrade my 4 to a 5 and then immediately buy a 6, which is the cheapest permanent. Right? I mean, there are so many options. With the trains, with all the upgrades and the 2 different types, it's completely insane. And that makes these decisions really hard for me. And I gotta, if I want to determine if I want to invest and if I want to hold that and all that, I need to know what my plan with the trains is. And to see how the other companies will do and how long the trains that they own will last. And this is so hard to understand in this game because there's so much going on with the trains, and it is really fascinating, but it also brings me in this terrible analysis paralysis situation. Okay, I'm simply gonna approach it from another point. Just try to apply some heuristics there. So the thing is, do I want to basically, my decision is basically, do I want to invest in the Hungarian, which I control? Do I hold shares with the Bosnia, which this guy controls? And the Bosnia might do very well, and the shares are cheaper, and I probably cannot hold as many shares if I now start buying from the Hungarian. But the difference is I have control. Right? And I think that's what matters in the end. That's the important part. Maybe I will regret this, maybe this thing makes more money, but I cannot control what's going on there. So that is the reason why I'm going to sell these. And I think this is a reasonable decision. It might not be the best decision, but I think it kind of makes sense. And now here's also the question, what happens here, right? Does this thing go underneath these two, which are not yet floated, or does it go on top? I'm going to check the rules here because I really don't know. Well, actually the Mährische is floated, okay, but the Böhmische isn't. So maybe it goes in between. I'm not sure. Okay, it goes underneath any marker, so yeah, it's just placed at the bottom, just like in another 18xx game too. And I just wasn't sure because, yeah, that one isn't operating yet, but it already exists. So yeah. Okay, and now I think I'm simply going to invest in shares of the Hungarian, although I could also consider buying a share of the Südbahn. But that's an interesting question too. I think I'm going to go with the Hungarian though. So that's 120. Okay, so a couple of interesting things happened. This guy bought now 50% of the Hungarian, and he kind of bought one additional of the Bosnia and kind of, yeah, try to get some good state railroads, and he's sitting on this paper. He cannot sell that. There are 50% in the bank. Nobody's going to buy it because it's not really good. So this is just, yeah, I mean, that's just bad. And over here, this guy, he's really in a good position. I think he's probably going to win that, the owner of the Südbahn here. I mean, okay, granted, he needs to get permanent trains in here, which is not going to be super easy. I mean, I think one is not a big issue. You can simply upgrade that. But if he wants a second train, he's got to figure something out here. But he holds these massive valuable shares, only basically shares of State Railroad, 6 shares of the Südbahn, 3 shares of the Hungarian. He thinks that's a safe investment. He doesn't believe that there will be a dump or anything. And the single share of the Bosnia. This guy here, yeah, that doesn't look that great. He had to buy shares of the Böhmische to float this thing, which he managed to do. He's sitting on these weird shares of the MS, which is just not that good. So he has all these regional railroad shares, which are just not that hot. And this guy is in the most trouble, the owner of the Karl Ludwigsbahn and this. He wants to float the green, the SB, and he realizes he just does not quite have the money to do it. He's sitting on, this thing is $90. Now the problem is, he bought a share of the Hungarian because he thought, hey, awesome, this is going to be a great company. I want to make sure that I can get that, before he actually checked if he has the cash to float this company. And the problem is he cannot sell the Hungarian because it has not yet operated. And in this game you can only sell a company if it has operated. I'm going to check that, but I'm pretty sure about that. Yep. And that means if he wants to float this, and he basically has to, he's going to have to sell a share of the Karl Ludwigs, but that means that he only owns 40%. And now somebody could try to steal it, maybe. I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but there is at least now a chance. And this is not a bad company, right? There is a lot of cash in here, $550. There's a 3G train. It has a solid route. So if someone has the money, they might try now. We'll see. Okay, so he did it. The Siebenbürgische is now floated. And the question is, yeah, as I mentioned, is somebody right now nobody can actually steal the Carl Ludwigs because this guy is sitting on 2 shares, which means there's only 4 shares left. So nobody can buy the 5th share to steal it from him. And honestly, I think nobody really is willing to give up other shares to get control over this one. I mean, the only ones who could even... Yeah, I don't... yeah, no. I don't think anybody's going to try. And as I mentioned, as long as this guy is holding on to his 2 shares, and there is nothing really else out there to buy except maybe shares of the KK. But they will not pay in the first OR now. So I think he's safe for now. Okay. And yeah, so the question is now, will players start buying shares of the KK, or will they invest in other stuff? Carl Ludwigs is not bad. Maybe I will invest in this one first. So this is interesting. This guy who owns the Hungarian, he holds the Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn, which will give him 10% of the KK. So he might actually say, I'm going to buy that. I'm going to try to get it. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. Is there a chance for him to take it away? I'm just thinking about it, right? If I buy that now for 120 bucks, I mean, I could sell the Südbahn and kind of force him then to sell his stuff too, so that he can protect his presidency. This is really kind of an interesting decision. Do I want to try to get the KK? But that comes with a risk. Because if he defends his presidency, I cannot sell it again. And then he might transfer the stuff of the KK into the Bosnia. There's a lot of tricky things going on now. But I probably sit in priority, because if I start buying shares and he defends it, that means that he's going to have the last action. So I'm still in priority and can sell the next turn. So is that something I want to try? Do I want to push him here? Or do I simply invest in something that pays out right at the next turn? I think on the long run, the KK is a really attractive investment. So I think I want to actually really buy shares of it. And I think what I want to do is I'm going to buy 2 shares of the KK, and then I still just have the money to buy a share of the Carl Ludwigs Bahn. I'm pretty sure I cannot trick him, so we'll see that. I'm going to buy now a share of the KK, and so I mean, it's pretty obvious that this guy will not fall asleep. So I don't know, let's see, if we roll a 6, he might, but then I think okay, let's see, if we roll two sixes, this guy simply didn't realize that he's going to steal. Okay, so it's a double 2, but no, I mean, it's very unlikely that this happens. So he realized, hey, this guy has now also 2 shares, I got to do something to defend my company, and this kind of sucks, right? What do I do? I need money. Selling the Südbahn? Shit. That's not cool. Selling a share of the Bosnia doesn't really help me. That's not enough. The Bosnia is only worth 80. I need 120. So that means I actually have to start selling shares of the Südbahn. Huh. Yeah, that's really an exciting situation between the two. If I would not have bought another share of the Hungarian, I could have really forced him to sell down his shares if he wanted to keep control. I could have forced him to sell 2 of the Bosnia and the 2 Südbahn. He would have been under an enormous pressure just to buy 3 shares of the Kaiserin Elisabeth. But the way it looks here, because I bought this one, I cannot sell that. And I'm not going to sell the Südbahn. So the only question is, does he sell 1 or 2? And I think he's going to sell them both. Yeah. So he sells the 2 Südbahn shares. They drop 1 space, and that gives him 260. So he basically, wait a second, he gets 130 for the first one, and then he simply gets another 10, and he's going to simply buy another KK share, or his first KK share. Fine. This guy still has some money left. What is he going to do with it? I think he invests in the Karl Ludwig. Does he? I think he sold the Karl Ludwig for some reason. I'm not sure why he did that, but I'm pretty sure that there was a share, a black share up there. So what is he going to do instead? That's a tough choice. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell the Böhmische and instead also buy a share of the KK. So that means the Böhmische drops down to 70, and I have to spend another 40 to get a 10% share of the KK. And now I'm completely only invested in the state railroads, which are incredibly valuable, and I'm pretty sure that that will bring me the victory in the end. Okay, so this guy passes. He's the first one to pass. He's got no more cash. This guy might actually... I thought he also sold a Bohemian, but he still has some money. He could invest. Yeah, he buys a Mährische. It's cheap. It's not great, but he needs shares. Even the bad ones, he needs shares. And, well, this guy is aiming for another KK. Which forces him also to buy another one if he doesn't want to lose control. And now, as his last action, He's gonna buy for exactly $100 a Carl Ludwigs, which is a fine company. And then he's done, and I think that brings priority now to this guy over here. Yep. So that was kind of an interesting stock round. Not super exciting, but it wasn't bad. And we have a share limit of 13. Just let me do a quick count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, he's got 11 shares, but most of them are garbage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's interesting. I thought he would be really strong, but he's only at 8 shares, or at 8 certificates. Okay, anyway, the Böhmische and the Siebenbürgische float. Okay, so this guy here, the Böhmische, is now sitting on 645, but they got a 3G train, and the Siebenbürgische have, well, about, that's a lot of money, 865. They got a 2G train. Now overall, this guy now controls a ton of cash with the Carl Ludwigsbahn. So maybe he's not doing as bad as I'm thinking he is. We'll see. Okay, what is sold out? Well, this thing doesn't go up anymore. The Südbahn is actually not sold out. That's crazy. But yeah, nobody really can afford it. Thinking maybe one of these guys. I'm going to leave it the way it is. It's a bit weird, but okay. So it seems nothing except for the Hungarian is sold out. And then we go into the first OR. Now we have 3 operating rounds. Well, actually that's not true. We only have 2 operating rounds. That is confusing. Usually when you come to brown, you have 3. But I checked again, and it's also shown here, we only have 2 ORs. So that's interesting. We shouldn't forget about that. Okay, so let's go into the first one. So we only have 2 minors left, the Kaiserin Elisabeth and the Kaiser Franz Josef Bahn, both here in Wien. And yeah, I guess, let's see, might consider going like, nah, oh yeah, we might, we could also go down here now. Yeah, now this is all connected. Well, we'll see where we want to upgrade and what we're going to do here. You know, before I let this one operate, I'm actually going to buy a 3 train over into the Kaiser Franz, Kaiser Elisabeth. That's $125 that go into the Bosnia. And the 3 train is not going to run anyway, at least I don't think so. So therefore, maybe that's good, because if let's say I got the 3G here, if I do a swallow with these guys, I might be able to upgrade it to a 4G, and it might be just the money that I need to do this. So that yeah, that sounds like a good idea here. And now yeah, I already ran these guys actually. They made so one guy runs like this, and the other one runs a 4 train down here, just like that. And yeah, it's kind of like one for 15, the other one I think for 17. So now we come to the majors, and we start with the Südbahn. They have their 2 trains, 400 bucks. Let's figure out a good run, and let's see what I want to do with it. If I want to swallow, if I want to pay out. Probably going to pay out. Let's see. Okay, I run for 39, and I think I'm just going to pay that out. It's also great because there are still a couple of shares in the bank pool. They don't pay me anything in the company, but that means that there's only 2 other players holding a single share, right? That's good if I pay out, as long as the others don't have it, and if I make it more expensive here. And I also think that my 5 and my 4, they will run a little longer, so I still will get a chance to swallow. And 39 is really a good run. So I got 60%. I want that money. Okay, so it's the next morning. And man, I got up and I got some back problems and also some problems breathing. My back hurts when I'm breathing. That's not really good. But I don't want to lay in bed all day, so I decided to play a bit and get a bit of distraction. I hope it's also not great when I'm talking, but I'm trying my best here. So let's see, we had the SD was operating. So that means now the UG operates for the first time. They got a train, so that's pretty good. They can run, and let's see what we can do with that 4 train. So something like this looks pretty promising, I guess. I'm considering upgrading to brown. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna do that. And then I can make a direct connection like this. So that's, yeah, we're gonna upgrade Budapest to brown. And that gives us 60 now, which is pretty good. Okay, so that means right now I can run for 16, 17. And then next turn, if I connect here, it's going to be better. So the Hungarian is not in a great position when it comes to the trains. There is now the last 5 train. This is the last non-permanent train, and that really kind of sucks. They would love to get a permanent standard train and a permanent G train. But right now they only have the 4 train, and I was thinking about upgrading the 4 to a 5. But then what? I cannot really afford, I can definitely not afford the 6 and the 4G. But I want a G train to run this route here. So I'm really not sure what I want to do. Maybe I want to even buy a 3G. Maybe that makes actually the most sense. I could buy a 3G and eventually upgrade that to a 4G maybe. You know what I want to do? I also want to place a token in Vienna. I got that option. I forgot about that. That costs me 100 bucks. But that is a good token. I clearly want that. And so what am I going to do now? Shit. I don't know. I really don't know what to do. If I buy the 5, I don't really want to buy anything. That's the problem. All these trains I really don't need. shit. Okay, so here's the decision I have to make. Basically, and these are the only things that do make sense. Either I buy these two trains now. That would cost me $1,000, which I have. And then I have 3 standard trains, and I could run them. I could run all 3 of them if nobody places ugly dots. And that's already an issue. So for example, one could place a dot here, which wouldn't be great, but is not unlikely to happen. And then it's already not so easy to run all the 3 trains, at least in a reasonable way. I can run one down here. I could run one here, possibly somehow. I don't know. This isn't great for me at all. I want that G train and I don't have it. What about buying a 3G and then maybe upgrading this eventually to a 4G? Oh man, this isn't great at all. But not buying a train, the other option would be simply not to buy a train at all. And hope that someone else buys the 5. But it feels like a terrible waste of time. And what happens if nobody buys it, right? I mean, there are these companies, they still have trains. There's nobody forced to buy a train. And eventually, of course, this train will get exported, the 5, but that will take 2 ORs. And the Hungarian has $1,000 that just sit in here, and I'm basically just wasting possibly a couple of good runs. So it's really not, it's a stupid position. It's this typical poison 4 position. But it's even worse because it's not only that I buy a 4, I cannot afford the G train, and man, that's really bad. Okay, here's what I want to try. I'm going to buy that 3G for $360. And then, if nobody buys the 5, I'm okay. I still have the best trains, pretty much. Maybe the Südbahn is also in a good position, but I'm definitely okay with that. And if somebody buys the 5, I have to hope that there's still a 6 and a 4G available, which is not unlikely. And then I can do a big swallow and buy the 4, the 6, and the 4 and upgrade the 3G to the 4G, and then I should be okay. So that's that's the plan. I hope that works out. Of course, if all the 6s are gone, which is also possible, that's a bit of an issue then. I somehow then want one of these higher value permanent trains. But if I have a 4G or a G train in general, I get a good income from the mines too. I get $60 each turn, and yeah, maybe there is a way then to get to get 2 trains into the company. But I think it's pretty obvious that I have to do one swallow. Okay, so this is the idea now. So the Karl Ludwigsbahn, they run a 3G, basically down here to Budapest, and they want to help the Siebenbürgische. So I guess what they're going to do is they're going to lay a tile here at Czernowitz, and then we try to connect down here. Yeah, and maybe then the Siebenbürgische can lay a token here, for example. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but yeah, I think for now this is the best I have. I'm wondering if I should lay a token here. It's only 40. Maybe I should do that. Okay, so I don't really feel I need a token here. On a 6, I might lay one. Okay, so I won't do it. It doesn't really feel that important. The UG, if they lay a token there, that wouldn't be great, but even then, I can upgrade it, and if then either the Südbahn nor the SL, if nobody lays a token there, I can run through there. Of course, should somebody else then manage to place a token here, that wouldn't be great. But even then, I could simply skip this, and I don't think it's really necessary to place a token there. But I thought about it. And the thing is, if I lay a token there, I might even kind of force the UG to also lay a token there, because this is an important route for them, right? On the other hand, they can also simply go the other way here, so whatever. So then I got my 3G, and I will get 60 into the company. And then I have 2, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15. I'm going to pay that out, obviously. Okay, that's 60 for me, and then we got 15 down here, and this guy receives 30. And the value goes up. But yeah, again, I got some cash sitting here. But I definitely don't want to be the one who buys that last 5 train. And I can also not really run it that well. I probably want to place sometimes another token somewhere. And it's also an interesting idea. We could try to maybe somehow slip in here. If we make a connection to this and then a sharp curve here, we could get a connection to Wien even. So that might be an interesting option too. But I want to work together with these guys to do that. First, I want to connect them to this whole area here before I start playing around more in the center. So it's now their turn, which means they can now simply lay a track here at Kronstadt. So I guess they're going to go here, place a token, and now the interesting question is if I want to go to Bucharest, which isn't so bad, and try to start my run from the mine up here, or if I want to make sure that I am connected to this mine. I think I'm going to do the latter for now, and maybe later I can still upgrade this. So yeah, that's that. And I can run the 2G, so that means I get 60 bucks into the company, which is cool. And I can run for 20. It's not great, but I mean, hey, it's the 60 bucks in the company are cool. You know, but here's the thing. If I make a connection to Budapest, I can actually run for 60. I think that is a better choice. Just have to make sure that I can upgrade this, so that I don't get stuck in this. We got a couple of, yeah, this one would work. Yeah, I think I can simply go like this. And then, yeah, that should be fine. We got 4 of these, so I don't see a problem there. And then I run for 60 instead. That's obviously better. So the Mährische now finally made the connection here between Pressburg and Budapest, and that means there's also now an easier way between Vienna and Budapest, and they can run now like this. So that's 10, that's 20 with a 4 train. That is pretty good. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. They have only $200. They have only a 4 train. I wonder why they have so little money, to be honest. Yeah, I cannot answer that. It's a bit weird. You know, actually, I think I'm not going to pay that out. I think I'm going to do 2 swallows here. Maybe I'm lucky and nobody really pushes the trains. It kind of looks like that at the moment. So there is a real chance I might get a shot on the 6 train. And with 2 swallows, I can do that. And then, because otherwise I have to probably do a big force buy for this company here. And I only own 4 shares, and I already have quite a lot of shares. So maybe it's actually better to not pay out. It feels like the company needs the money at the moment more than I do. So the Böhmische Commerzbahn, they want to lay a token, and it's a tough decision. There are 2 really interesting spaces. There is this one here, and then there is this one here. This is Brünn. I don't remember what that was. And both of them are really key spaces. This one seems more important because it connects Budapest and Wien. However, if they want to run a G train, this one is also kind of interesting because it kind of connects basically this rich area here with the rest down here. So it is a tough decision here. Now, and if you control this, you can also kind of break out here like this and then maybe go here or something. On the other hand, if you control this, you might be able to make a connection here and take all this stuff. So this is really hard to decide what is more interesting. On a 1 to 4, I'm going to go here because in general I think this is the more exciting spot. And I also think that if I don't go there, someone else probably will. So let's see. Okay, I rolled a 5. So that means I actually decide for this spot here. I'm not sure if that is the best choice, but okay. Let's do it anyway. And then I got my 3 G train that I can run. I placed a tile here so that I get a connection here. So I can now run 1, 2, 1, 2, and then 3 down here. So the company gets $40. And then we run for 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 16. So now also for me the question is, do I buy a train basically the 5 train. I have about $600 in here, so I could afford it, but then I get problems if I want a permanent train. So therefore, again, I don't think I will actually do it. And I also don't necessarily see a reason to start the KK. These guys hold shares of the KK, they don't make money, so maybe that is an advantage for me. I don't hold anything of the KK, so just leave it and run my 3 train, and eventually the 5 train will go away after the next OR anyway. So the B&H, the BH, they operate their 2 trains and they are doing great. So I guess I'm just gonna run probably the 3 trains simply like that, and then I got my 3G, which I can run again here, this massive area. Just have to think about what tile I want to lay. Okay, I simply did upgrade this one here, 10 extra bucks basically. So I run for 6, 10, 17 with the 3. The company receives 60 bucks for the 3G. And so that was 17, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 31, 32, 3, 4, 37, 38. Wow, really good run. So we go into the second OR, and although we are already in brown, there's only 2 ORs in the actual phase. It's kind of special. Mostly you have 3 ORs when it comes to brown, but not here. So again, the Südbahn starts with a 5 and a 4 train, and yeah, I'm not quite sure. They might, I see, okay, so yeah, they might go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then possibly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess, something like that. Seems to make the most sense to me. I cannot reach Mailand from Wien, but right now it's the same value as Sarajevo. Eventually it will be quite valuable, goes up to 70, but then I would need a 5 train, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I would need a 6 train to get there. So that's not quite as easy. Or I build through here, which is, that would be also an interesting option. But right now I'm going to go simply with that, and I think I'm going to upgrade the T because there's not too many there. Do I? Let's see. I mean, there's also not that much of these. You know, I'm going to take one of these, I guess. And I think I'm going to upgrade this one here. I think probably into this. Or, yeah, I think that's fine. You know, actually I could start at Budapest and make my way through here. And the question is, do I want to spend $100 to place a token here and secure this connection? Tempting to do that. It really is. I mean, yeah, I think that that could be pretty cool. I would then have this safe connection to Budapest. I really feel like this is something I want to do. So on a 1 to 5. Okay, yeah, it's expensive, but I guess that could pay off. And it also hurts the other players quite a bit. So now I can run 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I realized that's not working because there's no connection. I'm not connected to that tire. This is all blocked here. This is not... okay. Yeah, so I get my $100 back. There is no connection to that tile. That's interesting. Okay, so yeah, I gotta go with the old route then. Starting in Wien down here, and then the other one this way here. So it is a bad situation basically for these two owners of the regional companies. The guy with the Bosnia is fine, but these guys, I don't know. The problem is that the other company is running 2 trains while they only run 1 train each. And so technically they should buy a new train to make the other trains rust eventually, right? And to also get a second train. But yeah, they only have the money basically for 1 new train, and that's a non-permanent one, the next one. So everybody's kind of stepping away from that, and in the end it will probably just hurt them, which really sucks. But I mean, now it's just that one more OR. If that train would not go away, then one of these guys would have bought it by now. But knowing this will happen, it will go away, you know, there is this blockade that why should I be the one who buys it if it will go eventually away anyway? And so now basically through these 2 ORs, the big companies make money, really good money, and the others maybe make about half of that money, right? I mean, they ran for 39 now. I think the BH was at 40 or something. That's really a lot of cash, and these are running not even for 200. That's really not great. But now, of course, they can make the argument even more that they say, look, now it's just 1 more operating round, and it doesn't make a difference if I buy the train now or if I wait until it goes away until the end of the operating round. Maybe they should have bought before that. I mean, in the end, you could argue they just lost 1 OR because they operate after the big ones anyway, except for the B and H. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's a tough decision to do these things, and yeah, they decided to wait. So the player of the Hungarian is considering also maybe placing a token there, but they think they already have a token here. So they basically can enter from Budapest to Wien. They can do this. With 2 steps. However, if they use this route to get to Wien, for example, they cannot use the G train on this route here. So that is something to consider. Now they could build around that, but that would give them an extra token here. It's really not that simple. They could also maybe consider going this way and then kind of like go like this or something. So there are ways around this little piece of track, but It's a bit tricky. Now, I don't think I want to lay that token. I will do it on a 6, though. Oh, God, look at that. It is a 6. So the guy made that decision to place the token right here in the center. And you know, I don't know, I probably would not have done it. But this is why I do these rolls. Because, you know, when you play against other players, they often do things that you would not have done. And it is hard to tell. I mean, this is not a total garbage token, that's for sure. Is it worth $100? I don't know. It definitely will hurt other players, and it might be worth $100. It could. So now this guy might regret that he didn't place his token there, and yeah, it's kind of interesting, I think. So, but now, of course, he only has $600 left in here instead of the 700. I don't know what to make of this. Anyway, so we got a 4 train, and we can basically now, let me see, yeah, I think I'm just gonna go like this probably, from Budapest here to Linz, I guess. And then we got the 3G, which goes all the way here now until to this little dot over there. So the company is running for 42, a big run, and I'm pretty sure they get the same run again. So maybe I'll swallow them next time, but now I'm going to pay out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. I can buy another 4 shares. So 5 shares. So yeah, I definitely want the money. 42, that means I get 21 in my pocket. And we got 42 here. And another 42 here. And this guy gets even 126. That's a lot. He's doing fantastic. So the Karl Ludwig and the Siebenbürgen are owned by the same person, and they're now trying to hook this one up here. So, but this is still all just yellow track here, so it's not really that valuable. So even that 3G just runs to here. It's just not that great. At least it's $60 for the company, which is cool. And 20, 30, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 15. Yeah, I mean, that's something. So the Siebenbürgen is operating now, and they now finally get the chance to upgrade Kronstadt and connect to some real track here. And then they might consider next time maybe even going down here. It's hard to tell. The problem is they only have a 2G. So, I mean, they can just basically make it to this dot here. And that's it. So that's not that great. It's again 60 for the company, which is pretty cool. But then it's just 3, 6, 7, 8. Oh, man. That's just $10 better than going directly to Budapest. Not that great. So the Böhmische was upgrading this one here. Now they can start here and basically go like this, which is kind of fun, and go to Wien. And I was thinking about trying to start something here. So maybe go like this and eventually like that, and then here, and kind of connect this and all that. You know, that's all nice, but if you think about that, this is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you got a T or something. I mean, that's not that much more than simply just going to Wien, and eventually Wien will be 80. So, it's kind of crazy how valuable Wien is. And you know, you have to really build for quite a while until you get something that comes close to that. Now, I'm not saying that I won't do it. I might, but maybe for now it's just easier to upgrade these things, you know, and try to optimize this area before I start building the really long stuff. But it is possible that all the 4 coal companies will eventually decide to build something crazy together. That is totally possible. If we make a connection here, for example, then go up here, we might also considering maybe connect here somehow, so that we kind of travel half the map. And yeah, obviously, it is in the interest of the coal companies to work together if they want to compete with these big major Staatsbahn. But now you thought, you know, that gives me a bit more, and I want to do that first. You know what? I completely forgot to run this, the 2KK companies during this OR. I think I did it last OR, but that was yesterday. You know, I'm walking away from this game quite a bit, but I definitely forgot it today, and they ran for 34, which is insane. I mean, that gives the company $170 and also the owner $170. That is a massive run, and man, it's really hard to tell if they should have allowed that. This is just so good. And this guy obviously can also run with its 3, which is not quite as powerful, but they would have run before this token would have placed, so they also get a run simply between Wien, and so that's also a run of 17. I mean, that's still good, right? They can split that. So the Mährisch is swallowing again, 21. That's good. That should be enough to get a reasonable train. He has only 4 shares of the Mährische, and he has already like 11 shares, and he basically has the money to get to the certificate limit next turn. So during the stock round. So he doesn't really need that money right now, but the Mährische definitely will need it, so I might as well swallow right now. Okay, so that's it. We're done with this operating round and with this whole set. So we go to the stock round, and that means finally that last non-permanent train goes away. And now let's have a look. We got a couple of guys with a lot of cash. This guy here is sitting on 750. This guy is sitting on, that's about 300. Also, pretty much very similar amount. However, he's got the better shares. He's got all the Staatsbahn shares. This guy has the Bosnisch-Herzegovinische, which isn't terribly valuable. And also the Mährische, which is terrible. Here we have, then we have not that much. This guy is sitting on 500, and then we get really to the bottom of the barrel. We got here 200 and also here 200. I mean, that is a big difference, right? Basically, it's between these two, this guy here and that guy there. Maybe when this one gets activated, which will now happen in the upcoming OR, maybe he can then manipulate the whole game a little more to his advantage. Make big runs with the Bosnische possibly. But, and he's got to figure out a way to get trains into the Südbahn. And now he has 2 trains, and they're making good money. But, yeah, I mean, they're both non-permanent trains. And it's not going to be that easy for him to get 2 trains in there, but he probably wants that. but is it worth 2 swallows? So I don't know. This is a tough decision, and I'm not sure how he's gonna do that. He definitely can upgrade the 5 to a 6 now. That should not be a big problem for 400, but then pretty much his money is gone, right? But that he cannot be happy with that. He wants a second train. I think that is, yeah, he definitely wants a second train. Okay, so this guy down here has priority. He bought another share of the KK. And now the question is, what does he want to invest in? By the way, the certificate limit is at 13. So there's still 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Still a couple of shares that he can get. So does he want a second share of the KK? Now the KK is problematic. So for once, it is kind of stuck here at Vienna, and it's already in a way tokened out into the direction, into the eastern direction. There's a good route here to the west though, to Milan, and maybe also a little bit here in the north. But, okay, they might also go down here to Sarajevo. They are not doing terribly, but it's a bit tricky. In addition, and I think this is the main reason why he does not want to buy a KK, there is definitely the risk of a dump. This guy is controlling the Bosnia, and if he basically buys all the good stuff in here, he could then dump the KK on him, and he's sitting right behind him in turn order. So most of the time he will be behind him in priority, and I think this is too much of a risk. So I guess I'm going to buy 1 Bosnia share, and then we'll see. It's a bit tricky, right? I mean, sometimes you have to do risky investments, but I think that the Bosnia is even better because it has the better tokens. And yeah, the KK, I'm not sure. I think the risk of getting the KK dumped is bigger than getting the Bosnia dumped. So we're going to get a share of the Bosnia for 90 bucks. So it's actually 10 more. Not too expensive. So players picking up shares of the Bosnische, of the Südbahn. This guy is invested with 30% in the Südbahn. That's not so bad. I mean, he has now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But yeah, I mean, he's not doing that bad. But yeah, I mean, some of these shares like the Mährische are really terrible. And he's not going to make the big runs with his regionals, that's for sure. So probably holding 2 regionals is not necessarily the best choice. But I don't know, maybe you can make it work. It's definitely cool if you can work together here. But I think maybe trying to get control over a regional and a state railroad might be a better way to go. I mean, the state railroads are clearly doing better now, and the Bosnische. Okay, so we're at the end of the stock round. Everybody except for this poor guy here with the Karl Ludwigs and the Siebenbürgischen made it to the certificate limit. This guy is sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, he could get 2 more, but yeah, it's not going to work. There's also not that much cool stuff left here. And the miners count as certificates, so that means they only hold 12 pieces of paper at the moment and a minor, but this is going to be exchanged pretty soon. Okay, now let's see. The Südbahn is sold out. The Bosnia is sold out. And that's it. The Hungarian is already at the top. And the last one is not active yet. Okay, I'm going to load this up now. And we see only 2 more ORs. The 6 will be purchased now, and then we're going to see 3, but the next one will be only 2 ORs. I got to remember that. So, okay, yeah, hope to see you in the next video. Bye.